The first time I got a grant for a movie, or even applied for a grant for a movie, was a 30-minute sort of West Texas ghost story called Hollow. And here in Austin, the Austin Film Society started this thing called the Texas Filmmakers Production Fund, which they started in 1996 as a way to give grant money to filmmakers. I applied with my 30-minute West Texas ghost story, which was going to be very expensive. And so I actually applied for two grants. I applied for the Texas Filmmakers Production Fund and this other grant called the Aperture Grant, which is given out by a photography magazine called Aperture, and they give out $10,000, but only to one short film a year. So I applied for both of those, didn't get the Aperture Grant, surprise, surprise, but I did get $2,000 from the TFPF, the Texas Filmmakers Production Fund, which of course wasn't enough to actually shoot the movie. And I figured I would use credit cards or get some money from my parents or something to try to make the movie. But I was in a really tough financial point in my life at that stage. So basically what ended up happening is I spent the money on rent and didn't ever make that particular movie. But 3 years later, after I got a couple other jobs, I managed to save up that $2,000 back, put it into savings, and actually use that money to shoot a completely different short film, a short film called Pleasureland, which I did shoot on film, black and white. Ended up being about 18 minutes long. Shot that, used the $2,000 from TFPF, and then also some savings money, and got some money from my girlfriend's parents to make a film print of that. And so that short film ended up playing at about 25 or 30 film festivals around the country, and did pretty well, won a couple of awards. And since then I've said that the Texas Filmmakers Production Fund gave me the grant money to make that short film, even though it wasn't to make that short film, it was to make another short film. But I essentially 3 years later used that money to make this short, and that did pretty well for a little short film. There wasn't any sort of restrictions really, because it was a very young program. It was only the second year they had done it. Since then, they have put some restrictions on it. Basically you sign a contract that says you are going to use the money for this project in these ways, and if you make any changes, significant changes to the project or to to how you're going to spend it, you have to let the Film Society know. His idea has always been, we're funding the filmmaker, not the film. The idea is that you're supporting an artist, not necessarily a specific piece of work. Although for this grant, you are required to submit a budget and a proposal and make it very, very specific, down to the specific line item in the budget of what you're going to use this money for. But so there is flexibility there, but they try to make it so that the filmmakers really have to think about what they're doing and what they're asking for, and be very specific, and no one ever got mad at me for actually making a film, even though it wasn't the film. Still, I made a film, and it did well, and they even help me out with doing a screening of sort of as a local premiere of the movie.